Hello, I'm back. Yeah, today I thought I'd take a short break from reviewing things to talk about some of my pet peeves in books. My first one is miscommunication. Like this one's just like a pretty obvious one. It's when so many of the problems in the book could have been just resolved. The characters talking to each other. I was just listening to a book on Audible on my way to work. The main romance between the two characters. There was quite a bit of drama that could have just been resolved if the two of them talked. The main male lead was trying to help one of the servants who worked for the main female character's family. He was trying to help her out, start her own business. She was a seamstress, so he was trying to help her help her out. He bought her a mechanical sewing machine. The book takes place in the mid 1800s. I think it's the 1860s or something in England. And so he was spending a lot of money to buy this sewing machine for her so she can start their business. He was trying to find someone to help her out with the business because she was a single mom. He kind of did all of this without really letting know that many people know. But then the female lead thought that he was in love with her. Neither the man or the woman would really tell her anything, especially the last half of the book. I just felt there was so much drama between these three characters. It wasn't as bad as some other books, but I felt it just kept going on for so long, and none of them spoke to each other. Or they just gave vague answers, and it's just talk. All of this could have just been resolved in a 3-minute conversation, and the two girls were actually friends, so it's they could have easily just spoken to each other. And then my second one is lack of world building. Well, for the most part, there are some things where I don't really mind excessive world building. There are other times where I'll just be reading a work, either nothing is being explained, or I don't know, it feels there's not enough context in the book to try and make me think of what stuff could be. On a Sunbeam, there's not that much world building. There is some, we don't get too much explanation as to how the buildings float. I think there's a 2 or 3 lines towards the end of the book when explaining the history of the staircase, that the planets, their environments are kind of they're becoming inhospitable, and so they're trying to take the resources of the staircase to try and help their planets get clean water, clean the air and everything. So I just kind of assume that having their buildings float in space is trying to offset some of the pollution that is happening on their planet. And so there was some stuff that I kind of wish we could have actually seen that's mentioned. They mentioned that there's a bunch of border disputes, but we really don't get much more explanation on that. When we're on the staircase, we don't have a scene of before Charlotte and Alma go to see Miss Sale, who's the leader of the staircase. We don't get a scene of her talking to the other leaders of the staircase about the border disputes. We don't see any of that. And I think On a Sunbeam is much more a character book than a world building book. Part of this also just depends on my enjoyment of the book too, because I read one book a while ago where it was within the first few pages it felt the author just kind of throwing stuff at you without explaining anything about what was going on, and it just kind of felt they would explain stuff later on, but then it wasn't done in a way where I was intrigued by it. It was just kind of more confused than anything else, because it just kind of felt they threw some stuff out to make the world kind of interesting, but then also it's the characters, especially if it's depending on the point of view, they're not gonna be given paragraphs of explanation. It just doesn't make sense. But at the same time, I don't have any information about what's going on, so I'm just left like more confused because I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and we're just like diving straight into a place. Like nothing's being explained. It's going like so fast that I can't keep up. Number 3 is, this one kind of goes with number 1, but this one is keeping secrets when it like really doesn't make any sense to keep secrets. Like now, I get that there are times where like a character will think that keeping this secret makes sense, like it makes sense for their character to try and like keep this secret because maybe they're like embarrassed about it, or they think that's gonna like hurt the other character's feelings. But like there are times where it's like where like the execution of it is just so like dumb and doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, I haven't read this series in years. It's not that great of a series. I give people that, but like in Beautiful Creatures, like this kind of happens sometimes with like other like paranormal stuff, or like other like hidden world type of places. Like Beautiful Creatures bleeds a little bit as like the hidden world type of thing, or really like a fantasy story where like the main character kind of like gets into a world that they're not used to, and like the main characters will like do stuff. It'll be dangerous, but they don't have any like knowledge of it. And like Beautiful Creatures, you got Ethan, who doesn't know anything about the casters or anything. He doesn't know that much aside from like the stuff that Lena talks about, and so like everyone like gets mad at him for like going into danger, but then they won't like tell him that much about what the danger is. They're like, no, it's too dangerous. And it's like, well then tell him information so that he can better protect himself. Like, if like you don't want him in the world, like sit him down, maybe, and like explain to him some of the stuff that's going on, some of the like the other creatures, other factions and stuff, so that he can better protect himself. Don't get mad at him for going out to get information, but then in return not explain anything to him. Like, and then it's like they get mad at that person for like not explaining anything to them, and it's like they wonder why they're mad at them. I get if they're on like a secret mission and they're not supposed to like tell anyone, otherwise they might like blow their cover. But in that case, just like give like a brief description saying that like this stuff is going on. I can't tell you what now, but I'll let you know that I'm okay. When it just seems like they're keeping so many secrets and they don't want the person to get hurt, but then the person tries to go off in the world to try and figure what's going on, and they just get mad at them for like trying to figure out what's going on because they're keeping secrets to try and like protect people. But at the same time, it's like they're already in this world. Why can't you at least give them like the basic rundown of like kind of like what's going on, so that they don't go off and try and figure out what's going on their own. Like number 4, I think this one slightly goes hand in hand with the number 2, but not really. The lack of descriptions. This one falls more in line with like regular books, not so much with like comics or anything, where you get almost like no physical descriptions of like characters, buildings, just like what stuff sounded like or like smelled like or anything. Because like I've read a couple books where it's like they'll give like the most like vague description of something, and then like 3 books later they'll like give like a character description, and it's like this is like the first time they ever like went into like a deep detail of what the character looked like. Or maybe not like a deep detail, but like they gave information. It's been 3 books and this is the first time you like properly described a character. Like, this is a very old copy of this book I have. Like, I've had this for like a decade, but like this one, it doesn't go into like deep detail. Like, it doesn't give like a page long, like not like a page long description, but like 2 or 3 paragraph descriptions of characters. Like this one has, you know, like a bunch of like artwork and stuff. This is a Japanese light novel, and so like this is the main character, Yoko. So like it doesn't go into like deep detail about like how tall she is or build or anything. It's just that like the important details is her hair color, her eyes, and then that's about it. Be like when they're talking about a character, they'll be like, some sort of like really like important character, they'll be like, he was a tall, strong man. And that'd be it. I've read several books where it's like they just like barely describe the character aside from like having like wild black hair or like being like super tall and muscular. And I get not wanting to describe characters in such great detail or like places in such great detail because it kind of like loses some sort of like imagination on the reader's part. For me, it's more like when they don't describe stuff when you first see it, and then like 2 or 3 books later they gave like way more detail into what it looks like. It's like, well, why didn't you describe it that way when we first saw it? Like, I'd be like, when we first see a character and they describe them as being like a tall woman, and it'd be like, okay, she was tall, and it'd be like, she had like long hair and then nothing else, and so maybe you picture her as having like black hair, maybe being like dark eyes, like maybe picture her as having like a specific like skin tone or something, and then like 3 books later it'd be like, actually she was blonde. Oh, she's like, oh yeah, she had like thick red hair and green eyes, and she'd be like, well, why didn't you say it when you first saw her and not wait until like the end of the book in describing her? Number 5 is like weird pacing issues. Takes like 10 years to get something done. Oh, it's like it happens so quickly that it's going through everything and it just feels like you're trying to catch up with it. Like, I've sometimes I think I noticed like it's taken so long in stuff like fantasy books, where it's stuff like the Wheel of Time. It's like 14 books. Like, I perfectly get why people don't wanna read like Wheel of Time as opposed to something that's like I know that Lord of the Rings is like really dense, but Lord of the Rings is like 3 books, whereas Wheel of Time is 14 books full of so much going on that it can be pretty confusing because there's like 9,000 characters. There's a bunch of like different cultures and everything that you have to try and like keep straight and everything. And I've sometimes noticed this pacing issue because I've been trying to read some manga like weekly, like One Piece. Like, I felt like the Hotline arc went on just for like years. Like, I think it went on for like 2 years. I think one arc it just lasted for like ever. I think it'd probably be different if I hadn't been reading weekly. Like, if I just picked it up from like the library, I don't think I would have felt the same way. But because I was doing it week by week, I had a much different like perspective on it. Like, the opposite way is like Black Clover, especially like the first few arcs. It just felt like so quick. Black Clover and like Demon Slayer, like everything is just happening like so quickly that it's like, that might be hard trying to like set everything up in a way that maybe feels organic, because everything just kind of like rushing by it first. Like, stuff doesn't have the proper way to like to develop naturally without stuff being like mentioned like off screen or something. So it's like I do feel like sometimes it's pretty hard to try and get like the pacing right, because it's either like feel like it's getting dragged on for too long, where it's like a 9,000 book series, or it just happens so quickly where it's like giving you like whiplash. It just happens so fast. And then number 6 is Grimdark equals everyone and everything is terrible. I think I started noticing this after I discovered A Song of Ice and Fire a couple years ago. But it seems like a couple of times I've picked up like fantasy books or like some TV shows and stuff, where it just felt like everything was just dark and depressing and like everyone is just like a terrible person. Now, I know they're trying to like base stuff off of like real life, trying to put like a realistic lens on it, and I know that like stuff in our world isn't perfect either. But sometimes I feel like these books take it to like an extreme where like, yeah, I know that so much of what they're talking about in this series happens in our world too, but it just kind of feels like they just make like everything terrible. No one's a good person. Nothing is ever happy. They're trying to like mimic some of these like other like grimdark or like dark fantasy books and series that are like really popular. But then they just kind of like miss the mark. Like no good people in the world. It's just like everyone is just these super morally great people with like, but they don't have any like redeeming qualities about them. I think I mentioned this in one of my, I think it was in like the first two Demon Slayer reviews I did. They try to have these main characters be like morally grey, but it just feels like they like make them terrible people, and like the redeeming qualities they do give them feels very like slapped on. Now I know that some of like these stories try and deal with like real world issues. I don't wanna like discount any of that or anything. I think it's just like all the grimdark ones I picked up were just ones that I just don't like, or that I just thought they handled it all badly. So it's like, if you guys have any grimdark recommendations for me, or like a dark fantasy series you want to recommend, throw it on the comments. But then number 7, like weirdly forced relationships. And so like this isn't so much about like stories where like that's like actual like plot of it. Like you all know what you guys know, but it's just like characters suddenly getting feelings for someone, but it's been like you knew this person for like an hour, and you already have this like giant crush on them. But like one of my favorite examples from that is Eye of the World, the first book in Wheel of Time. The relationship between Lan and Nynaeve is just so sudden and rushed. It's kind of funny because it's like Nynaeve starts to travel with the group. In the beginning of the book, she had followed everyone. She had tracked them after Moraine and Lan took the 3-young man, and Igraine followed them, and so did Tom and everyone and everything. And so like she followed them, and so like because most of the book is in Rand's point of view, we don't get that many scenes of like Nynaeve and Lan spending time together. Yeah, a lot of this could be like off screen, like because Rand doesn't see it, we don't see it, because most of the book is told is in his point of view. I think we get some with like Matt, we get some with like Perrin, and he's with Egwene. I'm very bad at pronouncing names, but like, you know, like the group splits up. I think Nynaeve ends up traveling with Lan and Moraine for a while. So we do get like, I think like a few Nynaeve point of views, and then suddenly at like the end of the book, they're like professional love for each other, and it just comes out almost like out of nowhere because like the two characters are just bickering, and you could say that like they already started developing feelings for each other but just didn't realize it. But like I don't think there was anything in their point of views that showed Nynaeve getting feelings for him. So it just feels like so like sudden. And then for like the several books after that, they almost like are like never around each other. Like Nynaeve becomes like a big like point of view in the later books, and she thinks of Lan several times, but it's like they're almost never around each other. So like I think that was like the big one. And you also get plot lines that are like they're destined to fall in love. And like in like Black Clover, like Noelle's crush on Ashta makes sense because like they're actually like living together at the Black Bull's hideout. Like they're like partners. They've been going on a lot of missions together. So it's like her crush makes sense because she's spending a lot more time with him than like, and we do see them spending some time together. They're both like sitting next to each other at breakfast. Had gone to they were called to a banquet together. Like Ashta defends Noelle from a family and everything. So like I can buy like her getting a crush on him and developing feelings for him. But with Eye of the World, it just feels so like sudden because we barely see Nynaeve and Lan together, so it just feels very like forced. And like later on we get pairing, and I think it's Philly. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She was one of the hunters for a horn. They spent some time together until they do get married, and I think it's in book 4 they get married. And so like I can buy them getting together just because they spend so much time together. They went back to Eamon's feud for a while. They did all this stuff together, so I can kind of like buy their romance a bit more than Nana and Lan, because we actually like see it on screen. So yeah, those were my 7 pet peeves. I think that's everything. Okay. Peace.